politics, business, sports, arts, music. Mike and Marty on the beat. Mike and Marty. Mike and Marty on the beat. Mike and Marty. Mike and Marty on the beat. Mike and Marty.
Morning, Dallas Falls and Keene, and welcome to the feed. It's Mike and Marty. We're here today with Gary Fox. We're going to be talking about the Greater Falls, Great River Co-op.
Great River Co-op.
Sorry.
Yeah.
There's too many greats. There's a lot of
great
greats.
rivers,
And
yeah.
sometimes it's falls, sometimes it's regional, sometimes it's
greater.
Yes. So there's a lot of great stuff happening here.
Really
There,
great
but
place.
We should
okay.
make Bells Falls great again. I know, it's one of those mornings,
One of
the
those
pollen is
mornings.
out, the smoke is out, so we're a little bit...
We're giddy because
Yeah,
we
we're
can see
giddy.
this. We can see the
Yes.
sky.
And we can see the sky today. It's
Yeah.
nice. Marty with local events.
Local events. This is a busy weekend. So at the Bells Falls Opera House, How to Train Your Dragon will be available for your viewing pleasure from June 13th to July 1st. The classic movie this evening at the Opera House is Mutt. And the sponsor for this movie is Studio 92. So kudos, we have a new movie sponsor.
Yeah,
Kudos to Studio 92. Usually it's the same sponsors, which are wonderful, but now we have a new one. Friday night kicks off the annual Bells Falls Alumni Weekend 2025. So on Friday night, there are two dances. There's the Waypoint Center, which is all graduates and alumni welcome. And then there's the American Legion. You have to be 21 to go to the American Legion. On Saturday, there's the Bells Falls Alumni Games. There's a men's basketball game, girls basketball, co-ed soccer, field hockey, and softball. On Saturday are there all the reunions for the various classes. The class of 1975, which is the 50-year class, and is always hosted by the Alumni Association and will be hosted at the Country Club. All the other classes will have their reunions at various locations. And then Sunday is the Alumni Parade, beginning with the crowning of the Queen in the square. The Alumni Parade begins at 1, it starts at the north end of town, goes its traditional route. And then at the end of the parade, there will be the annual meeting of the Alumni Association at the Bells Falls Middle School at 4 p.m. You'll notice on the flyer that we have posted for you that there's a couple of QR codes. So if you are an alumni of Bells Falls Union High School and you want to go to either of those dances, you will need to buy tickets before you get to those dances. So this PayPal and Venmo will allow you to purchase those tickets, or you can go to the Dairy Joy at various times if you're like myself and just want to pay cash and get your tickets. But you will there is no entry into the alumni dances if you don't have your tickets. And the band at the alumni dance in the Waypoint Center is MB19. I apologize, I don't know who's at the American Legion. It might be a DJ. I apologize, I don't know that. So Alumni Weekend, boom, that's the whole lineup. On Saturday, also of Alumni Weekend, this weekend, Saturday, June 14th, is a Pride whistle stop coming into the train station. Some things are starting out prior to them arriving. I believe they're arriving at 12:30. You can go to Flatiron, get ready to go down and meet the train at or about the train's departure time, I believe, somewhere in there. There's also a No Kings protest happening.
I think it might be... as I understood it, but I could be wrong, is the No Kings protest was going to assemble and then go down and greet the Pride train.
Then come back. Then come back and be lining the streets with protest signs. I think it was a little hard. But actually the No Kings protest, which I didn't realize was like throughout the whole state.
United States.
Yeah,
it's all over.
Yeah, and then there's all the state, within the state, there's all the places too. So if either of those don't appeal to you and you're in that area, the Historical Society is having their grand opening. They have moved their location. They have a much more visible location. I think they have probably maybe more space now.
Yes, I think so.
And they have done a fantastic job of getting everything down there, getting everything set up, and they have a grand opening. So no excuses for nothing to do. So,
For the
so you can
Pride and the
just
No
go.
Kings,
It's
so
right
you might
there.
as well
It's right
stop
there.
by.
And then if you're, maybe you haven't made it back home from the dance yet. So
That's
who knows? Could very well be. Back in the day, there would be people that wouldn't have made it home from the dance yet. They would be sleeping in their cars.
That's-
Anyhow, that's everything this weekend.
Yeah, and then last weekend there was a golf tournament. I don't know if people for the
Oh, the
fireworks,
fireworks,
that was
yes.
really quite successful. They did the Leaside family put together a golf tournament at the country club. They had 16 teams. They had prizes, a silent auction. They had a really good time. We had the one sunny day of the
I was going to
weekend.
say, golf tournaments have not been easy to do this year.
And
with
then
all
they
the
had
rain
this
that
thing
we've
called
had.
the golf cannon that fascinated me. It was like a potato cannon, but it shot
Wow.
golf balls.
Nice.
It would shoot those things like hundreds of yards. I mean, it was amazing. Anyway, I digress.
But no, that was a good. Yeah, and that, I think that was a rescheduled event, right?
It was supposed to be on Saturday
Yeah.
when it poured, and then they went to Sunday,
Sunday.
and it really worked out well for them. Anyway,
Awesome. So,
so
Gary, you are here not to talk about the town today. Well, talk about the town in an indirect way, but you're here in your other capacity with the Great River Co-op.
Correct. Yes.
So it's been how many years since the original thought group came together to create a co-op?
Yeah. Good question. 2012,
Wow.
that initiative started around 2011, 2012, and in 1 year's time, by 2013, there were 500 members signed up. A few hundred more over the next 5 years.
How many total do you have now?
So hard to say. We've gone through the membership list. Like some people may have moved or passed. It's been 13 years since the first signups, and but the monthly newsletters that go out. There's I think something like 560,
That's pretty good.
over 550 that are checked received. Like initially, some would bounce back at 2 or 3 people unsubscribe, but there's
that's a good group.
That's a good-
560 something that are getting to people, and about a third of them are opened on each mailing. So that's a good,
Nice.
yeah, good sign.
Yeah. So you are actually, correct me if I'm wrong. You're kind of, you're getting to the
Restart.
finish line
Yeah,
though, but you're
well.
getting to the sort of a finish line. You're getting to a very, very big milestone. I should put it that way. You found a location.
Right. Yeah. So, kind of a restart. It's funny. So, maybe 2 years ago, when the original co-op board, the folks that were on that board, were deciding to close down the effort and leave, they recruited about probably 8 of us to come and meet and talk about it, and see if they could get a new group
Yeah.
to restart the effort.
And maybe you could describe part of that. I mean,
Sure.
why did it? Because I remember it started with a huge popular surge,
do too.
and then it
Yeah.
sort of, it was like, it was originally supposed to be in New Hampshire, right?
Well, so the Great River Co-op is incorporated in New Hampshire as a consumer food, cooperative consumer foods society, consumer co-op society, consumer cooperative society. I forget the exact title, but according to New Hampshire corporation law, they have a title that includes cooperative, and at any rate, it's a food co-op, and most of the members are from Walpole, New Hampshire. Those original signups. There's a fair amount from Bellows Falls, and then there's also some from Westminster, Westmoreland,
makes sense.
Charlestown, and so that effort went on for a while, and they had they did everything right. They went through the process of getting help from the Food Cooperative Initiative, FCI, who helps them with marketing studies to identify what the sales would be and do a pro forma so that you could see from that. It looks at the market area, where the nearest co-ops are, the demographics, who's going to shop at the co-op, what are the sales likely to be, what are the margins in a retail cooperative, and so you can see, okay, first 5 years, this is the likely sales trend, what the revenues will be, so you can bring that to a bank. For you have to, how are you going to build a facility when you don't have any sales history? And so there's some equity from the membership shares, those 800 people that signed up. And then At some point, Ted Benson had donated the land next to the Hungry Diner.
Okay.
And there's a sign up
Yeah,
there that says Future Home of the Co-op. So we're going to change that sign out and say Co-op now at 21 Island Street.
There you go. Well, there's good visibility there because the Hungry Diner
is.
is busy.
Yeah, good, yeah. And so it had been, a little bit over it'd been around 10 years since Ted Benson had offered the property. And so he has a lot of acreage behind it also, and wanted to get the land into development and come up with a master plan for it. So he said to the co-op, I'm going to take the land back, do a master plan. And so initially that first year, Steve got some of us together. He brought in from Cheshire County's version of Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation, right? The Monadnock Development Credit Corporation. And so they were talking about building a site pretty much at the original co-op site, which is in front of and just south of the Tractor Supply building on Route 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Cody, the new director there, he wasn't able to get that to work. As it came around to an annual meeting last year, the four of us that had stuck and said, yeah, we want to do this, and we think we could get it up and running in 2 to 3 years. And so at that annual meeting, good turnout, and we talked about the sites that were available without Ted Benson's, and so that site was one of them, the original co-op site. The co-op board had gone around and looked at a few different sites, and so there was what used to be the Mr. G's grocery store,
Yeah, yeah.
which
Oh,
had
yep.
been empty.
Yep.
And then the Robertson paper site were the three. And so at the annual meeting, and the meeting that Cody was at, a number of people had signed up for committee work. And like eight members had signed up for the site selection committee. So we gathered them together, put a scoring chart together on what the priorities were for the site, and scored them. And so in the Robertson paper site, 21 Island Street, by the train station came in first. And so we worked with BFADC to make sure that that was fit with what they wanted. It was a good site, and we could make that work. And so so there's that piece. And at the annual meeting, the board put together a strategic plan with well, I shouldn't say the board, the membership that was at the meeting. I'd say like 25 people maybe.
Oh, that's pretty good turnout.
And so of that strategic plan, putting a website together, getting a monthly newsletter out, identifying a site, getting some pre-buys together. One of the things we wanted to make sure to do was engage the current membership. So can we offer some benefits now? Because waiting
Yeah,
a few
sure,
years
yeah.
for,
Yeah.
there's going to be this thing down the road, it's not, it doesn't help keep things moving.
Right.
So we did a pre-buy of mason jars, so members could, for about half the price that you would pay in, in a discount retail like a Tractor Supply or Home Depot, for about half that cost, you could buy your mason jars, quarts, 16 ounce.
Oh,
That's
nice.
pretty cool, yeah.
And we'll do that again this year, probably in about a month. And so we have been making a lot of progress, and so I just want to talk a little bit about that board, because part of the vision, the initial co-op was started by farmers, because at the time there weren't stores that would carry local
Yeah.
produce, because you couldn't have consistent large enough quantities. And so since then, like all of the local stores, like Lee's, Allen Brothers,
Each stand now is carrying different.
yeah,
products.
yeah. So, so that's not as much of a compelling piece. But what the farmers are missing is a shared facility where they could extend their selling season. We have a very short, harvest selling season.
We sure do.
So, Connecticut River Valley, some of the most fertile farmland along there, and a lot of small family farms. And so for them to be able to make it and sure, work maybe part-time, but not have everyone on the farm working other jobs full-time. being able to create value-added food or put food by to sell either as co-op label or other places throughout the year would be very beneficial. So, and that came out of the strategic plan too, was to, let's not wait, let's create the retail store and the farmer-producer co-op production space at the same time. And so the board is 2 farmers and 2 business folks. And so Donna Bascom, who has Bascom Farm in Charlestown, she's belonged to the farmers markets that we've had here throughout the years. And she's worked at the USDA, and she brings a lot of food hub experience, funding and putting together those systems, and is constantly sending our board, here's another example. Here's one, that just started in, in Montpelier. Here's one in Hardwick. Here's one in Laconia, and then Robbie Maru, a business guy from California, and so Donna's in Charlestown, Robbie's in Walpole. And he brings a really fiery sense of purpose. So, like in the newsletters, he sends out, he talks about, the future of food is uncertain, together we can secure it. Creating a system, prioritize people over profits, health over convenience, community over corporations.
That is exactly where we
And,
need to go, too.
It is, and he's so good at succinctly getting that picture across. And that's a big part of the vision. And then Julia Etter is Nomad Farm, and just outside of Bellows Falls, near the Blotton's Farm. On,
I was just there a couple days ago.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Yeah, in Rockingham, just outside of Bellows Falls, and so she brings that strong local food. Was on the board helping to rebuild the farmers market over at Haiti Green, and participates in the market. And then myself, who brings some just nuts and bolts facility and capital stack funding to the board, so that we can then put our our visions into brick and mortar. And
Sounds like you're getting there.
And so a week
good
from
energy.
today at 6 o'clock at the Rockingham Free Public Library, 3rd floor, they have a great meeting room there, is the annual meeting for the co-op. And come on out, participate in the co-op. So while that effort, building the board, the site selection committee has achieved the pieces of the strategic plan, co-op is really about all of the members having a say in deciding. So when we go to build a store, what is our priority? What are we carrying? So the board feels like local food is important. Do the rest of the members, what's more, price, organic? What do they want to have in the store? So in the producer co-op, do they want to have a butcher there, or is it primarily flash freezer, shared walk-in coolers? What the equipment that you purchase for a processor changes depending on what you want to do there. So so this year is going to be member engagement, both farmers and consumers, and so that takes a lot of time, footwork, outreach. We started a bit this year with so we had those committees that people signed up that we reached out to, and we only really had to engage the site selection one in the past year. But then we reached out to farmers, had a survey. The square that's on a sheet, I don't know if that was something that Alex got, but that brings you to a farmer survey.
Okay.
And we did have a focus group with the farmers, but the being able to implement that, we did get a healthy food financing initiative, which is about the food supply chain. So it's retail stores, it's manufacturers, suppliers, and we're doing 2 of those, so we had a pretty competitive application. Yeah, so that square will bring you to the farmers survey, and so that provided $136,000 to do a number of things, 5 different. So it's a planning grant, so it does but planning studies. So we talked about how that marketing study was critical to them knowing how much they were going to sell, their revenue. That's for a site next to the Hungry Diner in 2015. So we're,
Yeah.
so that update of the marketing study is underway for 21 Island Street in 2025. What
Big,
is that?
big difference.
Yeah, so what is that pro forma gonna look
Yeah,
like in 5
yeah.
years? And that one's underway. A group experienced, I guess you'd call them PR, marketing professionals. Yeah, I guess more PR that will go out to the community, to the membership, to other community members, trying to recruit members. So the greater the Great River Co-op has always sponsored the Walpole Thanksgiving Farmers Market in the Walpole Common. And so we had a table there this past Thanksgiving, and it was amazing. Everyone's, oh, I know all about the co-op. Yes, I know about that because it's been in Walpole. So many people there are members. There's probably between 50 and 100 members in Bellows Falls, but predominantly Walpole. And so the challenge was stopping them and saying, you don't know about the co-op. It's a restart.
Right,
It's a
right.
different vision, different
Right.
place. So we had, a trifold ready to hand them, saying, this is, this
new
is what we're
version.
doing. This
The
is,
new-
yeah.
yeah.
And so that's been the big challenge. So the PR work will be going out to the community, engaging them, trying to reactivate the existing membership and get new members and say, hey, the decision-making is yours.
Right, and
So
re-educate
This is
them.
how, yes,
Yeah.
and this is how you participate. So re-educate, revitalize,
Nice.
sign on new. And then a similar study with the farmers, reaching out to the farmers, being able to engage them one-on-one. Do you have an interest in this? Do you have fields you're not planting? Would you participate? What would you grow? What would you, so that the information is there to build the facility. When the next study would be, what's the facility going to look like, which partially would be based on, the engagement with the members and the engagement with the farmers.
That's so
And,
exciting. This is so exciting
And
because we're really on a path.
Yeah,
It seems
yes,
it's
really
not
on
just
a path.
conceptual. There's like action steps, and I think that's actually a big difference. is
Yes.
the action steps.
Yeah, and
Action
by
steps
the
and
end
follow
of,
through.
yes, by the end of this year, we should have a hard date for when a facility will be built and what it will look like.
That's exciting.
And a funding stack to
So,
get there, which is the okay.
Is the idea of the retail and the production new or unique to this, or is it do all co-ops do that? Because I always thought it was just a retail space.
Sure, there's a lot of different kinds of co-ops. Like at our board meeting a couple of days ago, we had someone from the Cooperative Development Institute that works on cooperatives in general and specializes in worker cooperatives. And we were talking through all the nuances. Like you could have this food consumer cooperative society that's Great River Co-op have different classes of shares, and some of them are farmer members and some of them are retail members. But then there's all kinds of laws around manufacturing and selling with multiple different farms involved. And is it collusion or so there are different ways to
Those
set
farmers.
that up. Yeah. So
They're
there's,
always
They're always
so there's
colluding.
different ways to set it up so that you could have farmers collaborate, work together, all pitch into the same, jar of salsa or spaghetti sauce, or create separate ones. But still, they can all work together for a co-op label that sells in the store, or whatever it is. So, but again, we want the farmers to make that decision of how do you want to organize. It could be organized as a marketing co-op, which allows manufacturing, production, like working together, collaborating legally.
So, believe it or not,
Yeah.
we are down to less than 2 minutes.
Oh,
I
okay.
know.
Okay,
We're
what do
just
you need
gonna
to cover?
So you need to talk about your fundraiser. Is it a fundraiser or the concert?
Yeah, so on July 5th, Next Stage Arts Bandwagon Series, they're bringing a band from Haiti, and we do have a little blurb about it that could go on the screen.
Control.
And
Anyway,
but there
there
it
it
is,
is.
Laku Mitzik. And if you go to the Great River Co-op Facebook page, which is just Great River Co-op, there's a YouTube clip of the band playing, so you could see, you could listen to them a little, and they're great. And we hope people show up. It's
Yeah.
going to be really good weather on Saturday, July 5th.
You know for sure,
this.
you're just hoping.
I know for sure. We ordered
We
it.
hope you ordered it. Okay.
Yeah, we
Okay,
placed
awesome.
that order months ago, so should be in good shape.
So will you come back on as you get more information, like after your annual meeting, and talk about the
Yes.
next steps and how people can get involved? Like, I think this is a good overview and a taste of what's happening in an update, and maybe it will reinvigorate people to go to your meeting on July 18th at 6 p.m. at the Rockingham Free Public Library.
Yes.
Right.
And then come back on in like a month or two and with updates.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would just say if you go to greatriverfoodcoop.com, there's a lot of information there. There's newsletters. There's, get in on the pre-buys, information on how to join if you're not yet a member. And so you could take advantage of the pre-buys.
Nice.
When meetings are that you could participate in, how to join a committee. And I'm done.
Well, you don't
We'll
have
leave
to-
you hanging.
We still have a few seconds. All right.
Okay,
We'll
thanks,
see you later,
community.
community.
Local news, politics, business, sports, arts, music.